Yeah, yeah, and we all have friends out in the Ukraine. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's really really hard for them because
Human disaster for me.
it is. But here's my question: do
Mm.
you understand the geopolitics? Do you
Mm.
understand why?
I think
We
that
know we all know what, but do we understand why? Why? Putin wants part of the Ukraine back. At least part of the Ukraine, maybe all the Ukraine. Now the question is why? I saw some interviews with him recently and he looks very healthy to me.
yes.
Yeah.
So why he kills Ukraine people,
Okay.
children, old people?
There's different levels to this, okay?
Mm.
So there's a lot of different levels. There's also there's a historical level, there's a
Mm.
geopolitical level, there's a
Mm.
geographical level,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
a religious level to
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
There's many different levels, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's look at some of the things because my philosophy is always when there's a bigger problem, it's not just one thing. You know,
Mhm.
it's a lot of
Yes,
different
of course.
different things that come together. Yeah,
Yes.
to make a bigger problem. Now, let's look at the parts of this problem. Number one, we've got the Crimean ports. Russians have ships in the south and ports,
Mhm.
and they need access to those ports from Russia. And that access is through the Ukraine. And the
Mm.
Ukrainian government, for a time, was blocking Russia's access to their own ports. Okay?
Mm.
Now that's been happening for 10 years. Okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's been happening for 10 years.
Mhm.
Right. That's the first part. Remember, let's look at number two. Remember that the southeast
Mhm.
of the Ukraine
Mhm.
voted voted to
Okay.
leave the Ukraine. They voted to leave the Ukraine.
Yes.
Yes, the regions of the south voted to leave the Ukraine. They voted to leave the Ukraine and
Mm.
join with Russia. It was a vote. It was a democratic vote.
Cream.
Yeah, Crimea voted to leave the Ukraine and join with Russia in a democratic election.
Why?
Yeah,
What do you
sorry.
think? Why? Why?
Why? Because because the
Mm.
Ukrainian government was killing the people in the Ukraine in Crimea. The Ukrainian government was funding neo-Nazi groups to go into Crimea and to
Mhm.
kill people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ukrainian people. Ukraine.
Yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
Ukrainian government was funding neo-Nazi groups, and the money for the neo-Nazi groups was coming from the Ukrainian government and NATO. This was the money was coming from France and Britain and America.
Yes.
Yes. So France and Britain and America and their Germany and their allies were, I mean, we're talking billions of euro into the billions, not just millions, billions into the Ukraine to fund Nazi groups um, to go into Crimea and kill
Mhm.
Crimean people. And this was happening for 10 years. Okay. Now, not only that, we've got on top of that, we've got America and other NATO forces moving weapons and military equipment into the Ukraine. We've got
Mm,
that as well.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
Not only that, we've got America, United States built 6 bio weapons laboratories in the Ukraine. 6. Okay, bioweapons laboratories producing bioweapons.
Bioweapons is what?
Chemical
Bio?
weapon. Yeah,
Biologické
yeah,
zbraně.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, there are 6 in the Ukraine. 6. Okay, producing biological weapons. We've got that. We've got the fact that NATO funded the previous revolution in the Ukraine. It wasn't natural. It was funded by money from NATO. And a democratically elected president, the last president had to leave, and he was democratically elected, and he was pro-Russia as well. And we've got the energy crisis as well, with energy pipelines coming through the Ukraine. So we got all those things, okay?
Lots of things.
Then we've got a lot of the American government, or okay, there's
Mm.
do you know what money laundering is? Washing money, cleaning the dirty money.
No, špinavé peníze brali.
And you know the money is going through the Ukraine, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
The same way that the British money went through Iraq, okay? The
Yeah.
American money is going through the Ukraine. Yeah, they're washing a lot of political money through the country. And when I say a lot of political money, we're going into the billions and billions and billions. Yeah. Okay. Listen, the Ukrainian president is an actor. It's his job. He was an actor.
I know.
Doesn't that? He's an actor. He's not.
Mhm.
He's an actor.
But
Okay. No.
a lot
No.
of
But
presidents was
okay.
actors.
Yeah. Okay. 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 He's also, listen carefully. He's also a billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a billionaire.
How do you know?
Because
You
there were
think-
some
Do you think
documents
that-
some documents came out last week. People were
Mhm.
digging
Yeah.
into financial things. Yeah, he's a billionaire. Now, how did he make €1 billion
Mhm.
being an actor and the president of the country?
He couldn't. He
No,
couldn't.
no. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Or he's the best paid actor in the world right now, which might be the case. He's a puppet. He's a puppet for the Western governments. Yeah. He's also he's also a Nazi. He's also a neo-Nazi himself. Yeah. Seriously. Seriously. Yeah. And so when I don't get me, I don't agree with the war, and I don't agree with what happened. But when Putin said I had to go into the Ukraine to stop the Nazis, he was right. Let me give you an example of the madness. Okay, one of the first things that the Ukrainian president did was he got all the guns and he gave them to the people. Right? No. No. He got all the guns and he gave them to the mafia. He gave them to the mafia. And the mafia has different groups. And the mafia started fighting with the mafia with the guns. And that was the gunfire in Kiev.
Yes.
The gunfire in Kiev was the mafia fighting with the mafia with the guns that the Ukrainian president gave them.
It's horrible.
And and Putin had to send troops into Kiev to stop the mafia
Mm-hmm.
killing each other and the Ukrainian people.
We have 130,000 refugees in our
Yes.
country.
Well, look, there's a war. There is a war. I didn't say there's no war. There's a war now. There's a war now. There's a war now because people pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and there was no stop line. The West pushed and Putin pushed back, and the
Mm,
West pushed and pushed
mm,
back, and the West pushed and Putin pushed back, and then look who started it. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows who started it, right?
mm-hmm,
Maybe Putin threw some shells in from Russia. Maybe maybe it was the Ukrainian military groups shelling into Crimea. We don't know exactly.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I I've heard stories from both sides,
mm-hmm,
and remember, in a war, nobody tells the truth.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that's like
Mm,
the first rule.
mm-hmm.
That's like
Yeah.
the first rule. In a
Mm-hmm.
war, nobody tells
Nobody.
the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody tells
Uh,
the truth, right?
everybody lie.
Yeah, yeah, yes, absolutely. In a war, everybody lies because there's no
Mm,
other way to survive. So you expect the media to be fair and
mm-hmm.
balanced. No, 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 no. The media is part of the problem as well. So yeah, there's a lot of I have seen 5, 10, 15, 20 stories,
Mm-hmm.
major news stories that are not true from
Mm-hmm.
the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The ghost of Kiev, the special military jet that's shooting down Russian
Mm-hmm.
planes, is not real. It's not a real story. Um, a lot of um, and so and so once it starts, it's kind of not important now how it started because we don't know and
I don't know.
we will never know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people with a lot of different interests. We've got the bioweapons laboratories, we've got the nuclear power stations, we've got the energy pipelines, we've got
Mm-hmm.
the Russian military bases, we've got neo-Nazi groups, we've got historical problems, you've got Jewish mafia, you've got
Mm-hmm.
you, there's a lot of reasons for a lot of people to be angry about a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things. Now, things that are bad on the Russian side, I don't think the, I don't see why the Russians bombed civilian areas. I don't quite get that unless the Ukrainian military was hiding in the civilian areas, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what the military do. They send their
Yeah.
forces into the civilian areas because they think it's
Mm-hmm.
safe there, and that just endangers the civilians. Um, and so uh, there's a lot going on geopolitically. Look at the president of America, Joe Biden. He doesn't know what to do. He has no idea what to do. He doesn't know what to do.
Do you think?
I don't think I know about that.
Really?
He has no
Okay.
idea. He
You
has no
know.
idea. He has no idea what to do. Like Putin told Trump
Mm-hmm.
eight is it 8 years ago, 6 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Putin told Trump about 6 years ago. Putin told Trump, "I'm going to invade the Ukraine." He wanted to do it 6 years ago. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Trump said, "If you invade the Ukraine, I will nuke Moscow."
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said. That's what he said.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a transcript
Mhm. 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 Yes.
of recorded
Great.
conversation,
Okay.
right? And
Mhm.
Putin is like, I have to defend my interests and go in there. And Trump's like, if you invade the Ukraine, then I will nuke Moscow, and that'll be the end. So Putin was like, okay, I won't do it. So that's why under Trump there was no war. Under Trump there were
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
wars, no
Mhm. Yes.
wars.
Yes. Mhm.
In fact, 3 wars finished. Remember, under Obama, 4 wars started.
Mhm. Yes.
Under Trump, 3 wars finished and 0 wars started. Trump was a no-war president. Yeah. Now I don't like everything Trump did, but no wars is a good thing. The peaceful world is a
Mhm.
good thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
was he was a very good diplomat. Um,
It looked
uh,
so.
so yeah, yeah, he was very good. He was very good at that. And now Putin said to Biden, "I will invade the Ukraine." And you know what Biden said? Biden said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Biden said, "Okay,"
That is
and so that's why
different. Mm.
that's why Putin is now in the Ukraine because he knew that nobody would stop him.
Mhm.
Now there's more. There's a whole
Mm.
lot of Russian history
Mm.
about the Ukraine belonging to Russia and
Mhm.
um,
Mhm. I know. Yes.
what is you know the Ukraine is basically now the modern Germany with it's going to be like
Mhm.
Berlin Wall is going to be like down
Mhm.
the middle
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
the Ukraine, and
Yes.
half of
Mhm.
the Ukraine is going to be in NATO, and half of the
Mhm.
Ukraine is going to be with Russia, and
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
and that'll be it done. That'll be it done.
Mm.
Because
Totally. Mm.
because the European Union will get part of the Ukraine, and they will get all the tax money from that area. Russia will protect its bases, and the Crimea will join back with Russia, and it'll be done, and
Yes.
everybody will be
Mm.
happy, and the military-industrial complex will get money from its planes and its bombs and its guns. And once everybody gets enough money, they'll be happy and it'll stop. And a lot of people will die in the process. It's horrible and evil and wrong, and we should know better. But when when you understand the the media, the propaganda, the geopolitical history, it's not black and white. Okay,
Mm.
it's not black and white.
That's what.
There's a lot of
Mm.
there's a lot of reason. There's a lot of I'm not going to say good reasons. I'm not going to say good. There's a lot of reasons why Russia is in
Mhm.
the Ukraine, and there's a lot of Western money in the Ukraine. Joe Biden's son is one of the major shareholders in the power companies in the Ukraine.
Yes.
In fact, four. There are four
Mhm.
American senators. Four have
Yes.
children who run energy companies in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of geopolitical,
Mhm.
financial movement happening here, and um, maybe also I don't know. Maybe I mean to be honest, I think Putin made a mistake. Okay, I think Putin made a mistake
Mm.
because there's Putin made a mistake because you need friends.
Mhm.
Now, that's a good point here, right?
Mm.
Putin is now being pushed by the West. He's being pushed away, right?
Mhm.
He was happy to debate, communicate with America, with Britain, with Germany,
Mm.
with
Mm.
NATO, with other military powers in the West. Now these powers have all said Putin bad and pushed Putin. Putin needs new friends. Where will he join? Where will he join? Come on, you tell me. Think about it. Think about it. Where? Where? Where's he going to go? Putin was quite happy to work with the West and work with America, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's been pushed
Mm-hmm.
to make a deal with China, to form a relationship with China for economics, for trade, for
Mm-hmm.
the finance is part of the economics, yeah, for uh, for cultural support, for military support. This will make an alliance between Russia and China. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Russia is very big, and China is very big. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
China alone is alone.
Mm-hmm.
Russia alone is alone, but Russia and
It
China together, that's a problem for NATO. That's a problem for
it
NATO.
it looks that it can be.
Yeah, well, what happens next? China invades Taiwan, okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, Russia, who would normally be, oh, that's bad that China invaded Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, okay, we won't
Okay.
say anything. Now it's like we'll be
Uh-huh.
quiet about it, right?
Yeah.
And China can supply military technology and support to Russia, and Russia can, I suppose, in some way help out
Mm.
China with, I don't know,
Mm.
military intelligence perhaps, and other things. And if you go back and look at geopolitical structure, and you go back and you read things like George Orwell's 1984, or you go back and read the books of H.G. Wells, going back like 100 years, what you find is that the powers that be want to globally divide the world into 5 regions,
Mm-hmm.
because for some reason they think 5 regions are manageable. Remember the Olympic symbol?
Mm.
What's the Olympic symbol?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
5 rings.
Five things. Yeah.
5 rings. Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Lord of
Mm-hmm.
the Rings. 5 rings. Yeah? Because for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason, 5 rings is manageable. You can manage that. I don't know quite what the geopolitics is of that, but you can always have some problem or some
Mm-hmm.
conflict being arranged or managed between those 5 elements. And so for the last 100 years, there's been a lot of geopolitical changes in order
Mm-hmm.
to create these 5 geo-regions that can be managed socially, economically, politically. And this is another movement in that direction. It's it's also what we call smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. It's a magic trick, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a magic trick because the Ukraine or Russia is bad. You need a bad man, okay? Somebody has to be the villain. Every story needs a bad man. Every story needs a villain, right? And so right now the villain is there. It's Russia. It's Putin. The villain is there. Meanwhile, over here,
Mm-hmm.
energy energy prices
Mm-hmm.
to the moon. Okay,
Mm.
gas prices
That's it.
to the moon. Transportation prices
Mm.
to the
Mm-hmm.
moon. Farming prices to the
Mm.
moon. Shipments of foods and grain and essentials to the
Mm-hmm.
moon. Okay, same time. It's not in the news. It's not in the news, right? Look at your local store. Look at the prices going up and up and up and
All
up and
right.
up and up and up and like a lot, you know, like a
Mm-hmm.
lot. We're talking 20, 30% in one year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just not. I have some clients who work in big companies, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just, they're just putting the every 3 months the prices just go up and up and up and up and up, and it's not just in line with energy prices. It's above energy prices that the prices are going up
Mm-hmm.
because I'll tell you why. Because raising something £500 or £550, there's no difference between
Mm-hmm.
500 and 550. It's a lot. If it's 500, it's a lot. If it's 550, it's a lot.
Yes.
If it's 100%, it's a lot. If it's 120%, it doesn't matter. 100, 120%, it doesn't matter.
No
If you're going,
difference.
there's no difference. A lot
Mm-hmm.
is a lot. Okay, right? A lot is a lot. And so what's happening also is that the big global companies see that things have to go here, so they're just putting it up here. And everything is it it inflation is out of control because the banks have no control over it now because they overprinted the money. This has been going on for 20, 30 years, and there's no way that they can get the money to the people fast enough to stop the people getting poor. So statistically, every year every year 3 to 5% more people drop from the middle income into low income because of this. And sometimes it's more. Through COVID, it was much more. The 25% of British businesses did not survive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
For sure.
so, uh, so that's an economic strain, and the government have to support the people. And where do the government get the money to support the people if the banks are bankrupt and nobody's working and they can't
Mm-hmm.
collect the taxes because nobody's buying anything? How much money is your country borrowing? You know, I can look at Scotland borrowed trillions and trillions and trillions of money in the last 2 years, and nobody knows where nobody knows where it went. Right? Nobody knows where it went. Uh, it, it, it,
Ah.
you have, you know what's funny? I'll tell you, let me give you an example of what's funny. You have a dangerous, serious, dangerous virus that's coming to kill people, and we have to save the people, and we have to vaccinate the people. So, and and we have everyone has to be healthy, and everyone has to be safe, and everything has to be hygienic. And so what we do is we get a little tent, and we put a vaccination center sign on it,
Mm-hmm.
and we get that's hygiene. Have you seen these places? Have you seen how dirty the vaccination centers are?
Mm-hmm.
These little sheds, these makeshift places, these mobile homes, these tents, they're not even clean. And they're supposed to be hygiene centers.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the safest, most hygienic place? The hospital. Oh, we know we can't have people in the hospital. I mean, the people have gone completely crazy, right? It's just completely insane. Go to any vaccination center, it will be dirty. It will be dirty. So, you know, we have a world that's kind of gone completely mad, really,
Mm-hmm.
and um, so we've so theater and smoke and mirrors. Unfortunately, people are dying, and normal people like you and me, we don't want this. We don't want this at all. Um, it's always the poor people who fight wars. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's always the poor people. It's never the rich. It's always the poor. The rich people are selling the guns to the poor people who are going out and killing each other, right?
I
I mean,
have Mandarin.
it's very healthy. It's good food. Good food. It's
Hmm.
good to be healthy. So, yeah, as I said, the rich are funding the poor to go out and kill themselves. That's every war in history,
Yes.
right? Um, so there's a lot. The fastest way to make money is in a situation of panic or conflict. That's the fastest way to make money. Okay, not just in selling guns and ammunition and
Mhm.
planes and tanks and things, but selling any of the necessities that people fuel. Fuel is going to be expensive. Everything's going to be limited. And you think about property and property prices as well, right? A lot of property is going to be destroyed. A lot of people are going to sell their property because
Mhm.
what the fuck, right? War war does. I'm not sure what the insurance system functions like when there's a war. I think you probably don't get insurance when somebody drops a bomb on your home or something like that. You probably don't get any money for that. So, this is a great real estate opportunity for people to go and get land and get property and
Mhm.
exploit it. It's a terrible, horrible situation. I mean, what did the Nazis do during the Second World War? They took everybody's property. They took everybody's property and then they sold it. They took the art and sold the art and they hid some of it and kept it and stuff and things. And so, it's it's the same. Um, and I don't think that the, the the war is a cover. Like I said, smoke and mirrors. It's a cover for so many other things that are going on. Um, are the governments of the West even functioning? What are they doing?
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
there's not going to be any governments in a little while because who knows what's going on. Anyway, everybody wanted a war. I mean, all the leaders did. Johnson wanted a war. Trudeau wanted a war. Macron wanted a war because less pressure. Now there's no pressure. There's no pressure on these leaders
Mhm.
because everyone is looking at Putin now. All the pressure from here is moved over there. There's yeah, the 5 minutes of hate thing.
Mhm.
Um, in the book 1984 by George Orwell. Do you know the book? It's one of the most famous books in English history. So, George Orwell's 1984. He writes about. Book was written in 1948. George Orwell was his real name was Eric Blair, and he was a British agent. He was an agent for the British government, and he was involved in geopolitics and social planning, and he wrote a book about it,
Mhm. Mhm.
based in a dystopic future. Now, what we have very much today in the world is a world very similar to what he predicted would happen in
Yeah.
1984. Of course, he wasn't making a prediction, he was just writing down the plans
Mhm.
that he was given. He was told this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this
Mhm.
is going to happen, and
Mhm.
this is going to create a world where everybody loves the government and everybody does what the government tells them to do. And he's right. You love the government and you will do whatever the government tell you to do. If the government tell you to put on a green jumper, you will put on a green jumper. If they say wear a hat, you will wear a hat, right?
Mhm.
If they say inject these chemicals, you will inject these chemicals. If they say wear a mask, you'll wear a mask. Okay?
Yeah.
So, yep. So, this is the world we live in. And in his book, he writes about the process of using media to uh,
Mm,
to get everybody
mm,
on the same page, to get everybody thinking the same thing,
mhm,
um, which of course is dangerous. And part of part of the process, part of the process is that in the story, and in the story, a man lives in a prison which is his home in a war zone. Okay, he
Wat
lives in
zijn
his
die van?
he lives in a
Prison, yep.
he lives
Prison.
in a he lives in his home, but his home is a prison,
Yes,
and
I
the prison
understand.
is a war zone.
Mhm. Yes.
It's like the Ukraine right now. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
that was
Mm,
the plan is to turn Europe into what is
mm,
happening in the Ukraine. That's the plan. Everybody's going to be scared. Everybody's going to be
mhm,
frightened. Everybody's
mm,
going to be homeless, and nobody will be able to. There'll be no revolution because
mm,
you'll have no food. Okay,
mm. Yes.
so you can't have a revolution without food.
Ja.
Yes, yes, just hungry people can't fight. Yeah,
Nee, bedoel
yeah.
ik.
It's called the Hunger Games. It was in a film. They made a
Mhm,
series of films for children about this
mm,
called the Hunger Games
mhm.
to educate the children about what is coming. Yeah. Um, there will be
Ah,
no food, and if you want food, you have to fight. That was the
ah,
basis of the film. Anyway, in 1984, part of the story is that the government organized a special week. And this is in the book, and they call it Hate Week. Hate Week. Yeah, it's the opposite of love.
oppas.
Okay.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Hate Week.
mhm.
Now think about what you've heard, maybe in the media, on television, on the radio, hate,
Mm.
about hate. They are preparing you. They've been doing this for 30, 40 years. They've been preparing people for 30, 40 years. Yeah. And okay, let me read you. This is from 1984. Let me read you.
Mhm, mhm,
Hate Week in 1984 is a week-long festival. It's a week-long festival in which the party, which is the government, encourages people to direct hate towards their enemies. The whole purpose of Hate Week is to bind or connect people to the government, which makes the people easier to control. Hate connects you to your government psychologically and I'll tell you why. Because hate is weakness.
Anders.
Love is strength,
Mhm,
and hate is
anders.
weakness.
Mhm. Aslan ben Islam.
Yeah. Love is strength, and
Mhm,
hate is weakness. And when you are weak, you will say,
mm.
please, somebody help me. Please, please, please help me. Please, government, help me. Please, please do something.
Yeah.
Save me, save me, save me when you're weak. And so when you start to hate, you are weak and you will look to other people for support. Um, because only strong people will love. Jesus said, love your enemy, love your neighbor. Okay,
Dus,
that's what a strong person does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It they have that self-respect and outgoing respect and confidence enough to love. And and so in the story of 1984,
Mm-hmm.
there's Hate Week. Well, we have that now on a daily basis. It's not Hate Week. Every day is a hate day where you have to hate the vaccinated, hate the unvaccinated, hate the Chinese, hate the
Mm-hmm.
Russians, um, hate the middle class, hate the poor, hate the rich,
Mm-hmm.
hate the doctors, hate the nurses, hate the hospitals, hate the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's hate the unemployed or whatever. It's never ending hate. That's the negativity of the media, and that was that was the plan. It's been the plan for 70 years to create a culture of hate. What is the rap music? Joe, fuck you, bitch. It's what is it? What is that? It's all hate. It's all hate.
It's
Right? I
true.
mean, it's all hate. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and this, the media is just like bad person, bad person, bad person, bad person. Hate these people, and and it's crazy because, as you said, it's true. It's obvious. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. And Orwell, when he wrote 1984, he thought, well, it'll be a week here and a week there, and that I don't think he imagined it was going to be every day because what happens when something works? Well, they just do it again and they do it more, right? Oh, this gives us control. Let's do it again. Give us control yesterday. Give us control today. Control tomorrow. Yeah, and we live in a world where we are educated to we are educated to have negative emotional experiences rather than positive emotional experiences, and to be comfortable with the negative emotional experience. And and yes, you should be comfortable with your own ego and your own bad side, but it's not good to be permanently in this state of anger, really, of emotional anger, which you see it a lot of the anger that comes out from a lot of people protesting is like they're not protesting because they love something. They're protesting because they hate something. And you can't get anything positive from that because hate just creates more hate. Yeah, and it's like no, you, and people are forced onto one side or the other side. Oh, you're on this side or that side. Which side are you on? Whose side are you on? It's like, well, no, wait. It's more nuanced than that. You've got to be aware of when you're being, or you've got to be aware of how much you are in control of yourself and what is going on. Everybody writing on the internet, I stand with the Ukraine. Like what the fuck do you know about? It okay. Tell me about the politics and the geopolitics and the history, and then I will listen to you, and then I will say, okay, you've got some kind of perspective there, and I see why you chose what you chose, and I get that. Um, but 99.99% of people are like, yes, Ukraine, but they have no idea what they're talking about. No idea at all. It's just, and that I'm pretty sure that must be in 1984 as well, but I can't remember. But it's called virtue signaling, where the government not only tells you who to hate, the government tells you who to like, right? You're told, oh, it's fashionable now to like These and what's all this? What's all this hate Russian people? The Russian people are not the Russian government. The Russian people are not all this. Oh, you can't have a Russian conductor of your orchestra. You can't have Russian tennis players in these tennis tournaments. You can't have Russian shops or Russian vodka. It's like no, 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 no. The Russian government are not like the British government are not the British people. The American government are not
Yeah,
the American people. The
yeah,
Russian
yeah.
government are not the Russian people. And it's just extreme stupidity.
Mm-hmm. It's sad because the
And it's
people
wrong.
very much that.
It's wrong because these people did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to hate you because
You are
because
Russian.
because 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 you were born over there, right? You silly person, you should have been born over there. I'm sorry, I didn't have
Mm,
control. I
mm,
just
mm.
wasn't my choice, right?
It's stupid,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and that's what they do. They blame it on things that you can't control. They blame it on the irrationality of things that you can't control because you can't change it. And they know that you can't change it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they choose that. Same with skin color. That's why they pick black or white, right? Because it's like, oh, let's pick the black and white because they can't change it. And so it's not a problem anyway. It's not a problem at
Mm-hmm.
all. But they pick something that is that you can't fix. Basically, you can't fix it because it's not broken.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's even
Mm,
more nuanced and complicated. And this is the madness. And so what do we realize then? We realize that the governments of the West want people to hate people because they're not the same as them. And yet at the same time, we should have immigration and lots of people coming into the country and
mm.
what the hell? Right? Right? I mean, it might not even be. Look, it might not even be immigration. It might be an invasion. Who knows what's happening geopolitically? Okay, who
Mm.
knows which people have been moved to which place? Who knows how many of these people are real refugees? A lot of them, right? And
Mm.
how many are you know politically moved groups that are put into a place to, how many are Russian agents or European agents or Chinese agents or double agents or
Mm.
you don't know. And then what about the fact that the men have to stay and fight, right?
Mm.
And the woman and the children have to go. Well, what does that do to demographics and populations and families and things? What a
Oh.
what a nightmare! What a complete nightmare. So, I mean, you, if you're going to hate somebody, you should you should know something about
Yeah,
them, about the
it's
person
true. It's true. Yes.
you're gonna hate, right? I mean, it's like, oh, he's a bad man. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
tell me about him and what he likes
Mm-hmm.
and what he doesn't like
Mm-hmm.
and his
Mm-hmm.
family and his social activities. And it's like people have no idea. They don't know anything. They don't know anything at all. It's just like picture,
Mm.
face, bad man, hate,
Mm.
rrr. And then, that's the level of intelligence that we now have
Mm.
in
Yes, yes.
in Western society. We are so stupid.
Mm.
Uh, and you'll see it. It works very well. You show people a picture of somebody,
Mm.
and they will get angry. Seriously. I mean,
Mm.
they will get
Mhm.
angry. They will be like, okay. To be like, so somebody will be out in the street saying, "Excuse me, what can you tell me about this person?" And they'll bring up a picture of Vladimir Putin and be like, "Oh, he's a murderer. He's a killer. He's an evil person." It's just a picture. It's just a picture.
Just a picture, no
It's just a
person,
picture. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
life.
And yeah, they they
Mhm.
dehumanize people. They make them not human,
Mhm.
right? It's part of the it's part of the propaganda
Mm.
process. It's supposed to make the people not human, and if they're not human, it's easier to hate them, right? Because if he's if he's pictured with his family and his children and his dog,
Mhm.
it's next to the Christmas tree. That's
Mhm. Mm.
that's different, right? It's
Mm.
different in that situation. And then you show them a picture of, I don't know, this Bon Jovi, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I love Bon Jovi, fantastic." It's like it's just a picture. You
Mm.
don't you don't
Mm.
know anything about the person or
Mhm.
who they really are. You've
Just
never
the
you've never
picture.
met them, right? Yeah, yeah. People are so far away and so disconnected from the reality that they, well, yeah, and they're told what to think. The people are told what to think, and it's hard. It's hard to think, right?
Mm.
Making objective choices is hard. Nurses and doctors understand that making objective choices is hard.
Mhm.
To operate or not operate. Who knows, right? The
Mhm.
future is
Totally.
the future is unpredictable. Yeah,
Mm.
you can increase your chances, but the win lose. It's the you can't predict the race. You don't know who's going to win. You don't know who's going to win the game, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of unknowns in life. Yeah, you can't control every element of everything, which is again why war is so ridiculous. And
Mm.
do you know when it will stop? I'll tell you when it will stop. It's very easy to stop the war. You just you just turn off the bank. The war will stop. The war will stop very quickly when you turn off the
Mhm.
bank.
Mhm.
That's it. That'll
Mm.
stop the war. You stop paying people to fight,
Mhm.
and
Political.
the war will stop very quickly, and people will go and do something else.
Mhm.
The people are only there because they're paid.
Mm. Yeah.
Just
It's political. Yes. Yes.
for most of them, right? I mean, we're talking also a certain element of low-level education in terms of who's going to join the military when they're young. But
Mhm.
but when you stop paying people to do something, they stop doing that thing
Mhm.
a lot of the time, and then you can go and do something else. Instead of paying people to shoot each other, maybe you can pay them to help each other. I don't know,
Mm.
right? It's um, the uh, the media but media loves a war because more people watch television, more people read the newspapers, more people tune in, more people read articles. Governments love wars because they know the people can't help themselves, and so they will say, "Government, please help us, please do something." And the government will be like, "Oh, good, more money, more jobs. We can we can virtue signal that we're saving the world. We can the politicians can start their little charities to raise money for the
Mhm.
children of whatever problem, and who knows what happens to the money and where it
Mm.
goes and
Mhm.
if it's
What?
really.
What is true?
Yep, exactly,
Uh,
exactly. If everybody turned off their television, the war might stop. The war might stop because I've always said the only thing that matters is that you know what's happening where you are.
Mhm.
It's all that matters. All that matters is you know what's happening
Mm.
in
Matters.
in your vicinity, in what you can see, right?
Mm.
That's
Mhm.
all that matters. right? Because if it's sunny or rainy or that's all that matters, right? And until some, you don't have to worry until some army comes over the hill, right? Some army comes over the hill, and then you got to
Mm,
start to worry. But um, otherwise, it's not really very important. And then if you realize the craziness in which everybody lives anyway, which is that television will make you think that everything is the same and that everybody understands what's happening. But the truth is that, take this example. I live in a town with 5,000 people. Right now, there's 5,000 people here somewhere doing something. I do not know what any of those 5,000 people are doing. I don't know. I don't know what any of them are doing right now. None of them. Well, that's a bit crazy, right? Right?
Good.
I live in a space with 5,000 people and I don't know what any of them are doing. So, and I have no control over that. I have no control over what they're doing and I
Mm,
don't know what they're doing. So there's a lot of life that's just like we understand only a
mm,
small part of a very, very, very big picture. And when we
mm,
when we watch the news, again, that's a tiny, tiny, small part of a very big picture. And we uh, we 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 don't see the bigger picture. We don't see everything. And there's a lot
mm,
of everything that is little pieces of the puzzle
mhm,
of what is control. Yeah, which is it's going to be, or the government want to government well government mostly want everything predictable. They want everybody to they want to know where everybody is and what everyone's doing and
mm.
to know that there's not going to be any problem with anything. Uh, Trouble is that the government is its own worst enemy. Governments like here's the crazy example, right?
Mm,
Our government good, their government bad. Do you see how crazy that is? You see how crazy that is? Because if our government is good for us, then their government should be good for them, right?
mm,
If it works. It's it, it,
mm.
it's all crazy.
Crazy, yes.
It's all crazy. And then there's a war, and people are like, oh, why is there a war? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and it's not. You look at history. History is conflict after conflict after conflict after conflict. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of
Mm,
peace in history as well, right? A lot of
mm,
people not fighting. A lot of people helping each
mm,
other, right? Um, but also at the same time, it's just you can choose, right? You can choose to fight, or you can choose
yeah.
hate, or you can choose love. It's a choice, right? So yay. So yay.